Her son still lived in her house, but you'd think she was the guest. He'd toss his keys on the counter, grumble about the Wi-Fi, and leave half-empty cans like breadcrumbs through the house. Mornings were the worst. He'd shuffle in, sweatpants hanging low, open the fridge, sigh, like the world had failed him. Nothing to eat again. There were eggs, bread, fruit, but not what he wanted. Never what he wanted. She'd pour coffee, same way every day, quiet hands, steady rhythm. The coffee maker was the only thing that didn't talk back. Bills sat in a small pile on the corner of the table. Electric, gas, internet, each one with her name. He called it our place. She paid every line of it. He liked to talk about plans, new jobs, new investments, the potential. He just needed time to realize. Time had been 5 years. That morning, he scrolled on his phone while she vacuumed. "Mom, can you keep it down? I'm on a call," he said, not looking up. She turned off the vacuum, stood still. The hum died, and for a moment there was silence so full it almost hummed by itself. He kept talking, smiling into the screen. "Yeah, man, still living at home. Free rent, free meals. Gotta enjoy it while it lasts." She heard him laugh, that careless kind of laugh that used to be hers when life still felt wide open. She didn't say a word, just picked up the mail from the hallway floor, a thin white envelope from the bank. She read the line, estimated home value, and stopped breathing for half a second. Folded it back, slid it into her apron pocket. He laughed at something on his phone. She looked at him the way people look at strangers on buses, quiet, detached, almost kind. Then she turned back to the sink, rinsed her cup, and stared out the window for a long time. Outside, the wind shifted the leaves on the lawn. Something in her face shifted with it. The next morning she waited until he left for work. He didn't really work. A few deliveries here and there, enough to keep his pride alive. When his car finally pulled out of the driveway, she exhaled. The house went still, like it had been holding its breath too. She wiped the kitchen table, straightened a chair, and took the bank letter from the drawer. There was a phone number printed in small blue ink. She dialed. "Hi, I'm calling about property value estimates," she said, her voice light, polite. "Are you looking to sell?" The woman on the line asked. There was a pause. "Just curious," she said. But curiosity turned into a meeting. Wednesday, 2 p.m. She marked it on a small notepad, tore the page out, and slid it behind the toaster. That afternoon, her son came back early, threw his jacket on the couch. "You didn't make lunch?" he asked. She just shook her head. "You can handle it." He rolled his eyes. "Guess so." Later that night, she heard him laughing through the wall, voice loud, careless, music thumping from his room. She sat at the kitchen table with her laptop, learning how to post an online listing. Every click sounded louder than it should. Her hand trembled once. She stopped it with her other hand. By the weekend, she'd taken photos while he slept. Living room, hallway, front porch with peeling paint. She used the name Claire Martin, not her real one. The listing went live Monday morning at 9:17 a.m. At 9:22, she got an email. Interested buyer. Cash offer possible. She stared at the screen until the letters blurred. Then she closed the laptop and made breakfast. When he came down, yawning, she smiled. "Coffee's ready." He didn't notice her eyes, calm now, not tired. He said something about going out with friends, and she just nodded. As the door closed behind him, she whispered, barely audible even to herself, "Good. Go live your life." Then she opened her laptop again. By midweek, the house no longer felt like his. Small things had changed. The picture frames were gone from the hallway, the guest towels folded in boxes, her favorite mug missing from the counter. He noticed, of course. "You moving or something?" he asked, half laughing. She smiled. "Just cleaning." That word, cleaning, became her shield. When he opened the closet and found the suitcases stacked by the wall, she said, "Donations." He nodded, suspicious but too lazy to care. At night, she rechecked her emails. The buyer wanted to visit again, this time with papers. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard before she typed yes. The reply came back instantly, polite, professional, final. The next morning she stood outside, pretending to water the plants. The realtor's car turned the corner and stopped by the mailbox. She walked over, heart steady but legs unsure. They spoke in low tones. He handed her a folder, thick with contracts. Inside, her son's voice echoed from an open window. "Mom? Who's that?" "Insurance guy," she called back. Her tone didn't even tremble. She signed the papers leaning on the fence. The pen shook once, then stopped. When the car left, she looked at her hand. It was still holding the pen like a weapon she didn't remember picking up. That night, dinner was quiet. He scrolled on his phone, saying something about a new gaming chair he'd ordered. She nodded, eyes on her plate. After he went to bed, she opened the drawer where she kept the bills, slipped the signed contract on top, smooth and flat, as if it had always belonged there. Through the window, porch lights flickered on and off in the neighborhood. Someone's dog barked twice, then went silent. The house exhaled. On the fridge, one magnet had fallen, a tiny plastic heart from a long-forgotten vacation. She picked it up, looked at it for a second, then set it face down. Tomorrow, the realtor would hang a sign. She whispered, "Let it look crooked." The next morning felt almost calm. Sunlight through the blinds, the smell of coffee, a song from a neighbor's radio. For a second, it felt like any other day. He saw the sign before he saw her. It leaned slightly to the left, the words sold bright against the dull morning light. For a second, he just stared, like his brain refused to translate it. Then he turned toward the house, their house, and shouted her name. She was in the kitchen, calm, stirring sugar into her coffee. The cup clinked once, steady, like a metronome. "What the hell is that?" he yelled from the doorway. She didn't look up. "It's done," she said quietly. "What's done? You can't just." She slid an envelope across the table, his name written on it. Inside, a copy of the sale contract, the moving notice, the date. He froze. "You sold my house." Her eyes finally met his. "It was never your house." He laughed once, short and disbelieving. Then louder. "You're out of your mind. Where am I supposed to go?" She took a sip of coffee. "You'll figure it out," she said softly. "You always do, when it's someone else paying the price." He slammed his hand on the table. The sound echoed through the kitchen, made the window glass hum. "You can't do this to me." "I already did." The words landed like a door closing. He stepped back, breathing hard, looking for something, anger, pity, an opening. There wasn't one. She stood up, took her keys from the hook, walked past him toward the door. Outside, the air was cool, almost sweet. The street was quiet except for a lawn mower 2 houses down. She paused on the porch, feeling the sun on her face. Behind her, his voice cracked. "You're really just walking out?" She didn't answer. The door stayed open, his shadow framed in it, small against the bright light. She reached the car, placed her coffee on the roof for a moment, and looked back. The sold sign leaned a little more, one corner sinking into the dirt. For the first time in years, she smiled, small, quiet, free. By the time the movers left, the house was hollow. Sunlight pooled across the wooden floor, touching the spots where furniture used to be. Dust motes hung in the air, soft, slow, like they didn't want to leave either. She stood in the middle of the room, hands in her pockets, looking at the walls that had heard everything. The yelling, the silence, the apologies that never came. Her phone buzzed. One message. "Where am I supposed to go now?" She read it twice, then pressed delete. Out on the porch, the crooked sold sign clicked lightly in the wind. The sound reminded her of a metronome again, steady, certain, marking an ending. She took one last look at it and turned toward her car. The seat was warm from the sun. She set the radio to a soft local station, something with an old guitar line that barely held together. Her keys trembled once in the ignition, not from doubt, just from weight. When the engine started, the rearview mirror caught a glimpse of the porch light she'd left on. She didn't go back to turn it off. Let it burn. Let him come home to an empty glow. As she drove through the neighborhood, windows open, the air felt wider than she remembered. Somewhere between the grocery store and the highway, she realized she wasn't angry anymore. Not sad, either. Just done. Funny thing, freedom doesn't make a sound. It just leaves silence behind. She stopped at a red light, watching a young couple argue by the curb, the man gesturing wildly, the woman smiling like she already knew how this story would end. And for a second, she thought of another woman, younger, married, carrying all the weight while her husband figured himself out. She let the light turn green before she moved again. If peace had a sound, maybe it was this. An engine, a song, and no one waiting at home. He thought she'd come back. But some doors don't open twice.